Hello YouTube, this is Morgan, Airspeed Prime here with my next Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2012 The Nickelodeon Show episode review. This one's going to be for Season 2, Episode 11, Metalhead Rewired. General thoughts on the episode are that, as ever with this show, it was fun, but as has been the case a lot of the time with episodes, not building very well on the other episodes. And even though this one I think is better than a lot of the other episodes, like especially last week's episode and some of the other ones earlier on in the season and in season 1, this one did a bit more to add to the plot, and that there, especially the last kind of third of this episode, had some interesting connections to the plot and actually had some emotion to it. But I felt that this almost happened at the wrong time. This wasn't what I wanted to happen at this stage. What I really wanted this episode to focus on was April dealing with the reveal that happened a few episodes ago that still hasn't been addressed since then, and we've had a bunch of episodes since then just because of they mixed up the production order and the airing order a bit. So it's been a few episodes and we still haven't got a resolution on that. Add to that, we haven't seen Karai in a bunch of episodes. I've kind of lost count how many it's been. Same with Shredder, I think, who's been gone even longer. Casey, he wasn't in this episode either. So you were left with an episode focused on the Turtles, but really focused on Metalhead, who I think really became a character in this episode. And there was kind of a Donatello plot to this episode. But as I've been saying like this whole time, the Turtles really need to have something to develop through. Like, this was an emotional thing for Donatello losing Metalhead, but for me it was more about Metalhead than Donatello. So again, the Turtles were kind of just like the solid characters that they're not doing anything really that unique with in the show, and Metalhead was kind of the star of this episode. But you know, as ever, it's fun, and I'm just kind of trying to accept the fact that this show maybe isn't what I want it to be, like, perfectly, but at the same time, like, this show is the show I want it to be certain times. Like, what they've done with April is interesting. The setup with Karai and Splinter, that relationship and stuff like that, super interesting, but they're not addressing these really important things in the episodes that often. But getting into some specifics on this episode before I start going on about the whole series, as a whole again. As I said, the first 14 minutes of the episode or so were just very standard, you know, it was okay. But then, once you get to the last 7 minutes, I think it really just hit a kind of high point for the episode. The reveal that the Krang have been capturing a lot of the mutants that the Turtles have encountered in previous episodes was really interesting, because you got a lot of those emotional connections back again. Raph and Slash, who was Spike, you saw the look there, and a little kind of a hint of camaraderie towards the end, stuff like that. You had April's father, you know, he's been mutated. We had him kind of show a little bit of, like, he only listened to the Turtles after they said go and look for April. So I hope that's addressed in the next episode. But I'm really beginning to lose hope in terms of me saying stuff like, I hope this is addressed in the next episode or two, because it's been rare that it's actually happened. Even looking back up season 1 and what we've seen so far this season, it hasn't been something that happened that often, where they've set up something with a cliffhanger and addressed it the next episode. So I'm not really sure what they'll do there, but seeing all those mutants again, like Spider Bites and the monkey, snake, the snake, and all of these other, like, things we've seen, the wasps as well were there. No explanation for what exactly the Krang are doing, but they mind control them, so they're clearly just saying, okay, we are kind of responsible for making these mutants, let's use them for our own goals, and so they've captured them. But still, that's about one of the only plots that they're really continuing to add to the Krang's overall goal, and they're doing all these little plans adding on to each other. But I think Shredder overall is a more interesting villain than the Krang, just because with the Krang they're doing little bits a lot of the time, and with Shredder, since we haven't seen him so much, he's still quite mysterious, but there's still a lot more to come. But other than that, I find there's a lot of this episode. There's not a lot to analyze. I found the first like 13 minutes, as I said, just to be okay. This happened, then that happened, then that happened. It wasn't overly interesting. There was a lot of fights which were interesting. Seeing Metalhead kind of improved, but made better by Donatello, it was interesting. One of the more interesting moments, I think, was Leonardo asking Donatello, understanding why Donatello's so attached to Metalhead, but kind of realizing that this thing might be like infected by the Krang software. You have to take its AI out, and Donatello's kind of begun to see Metalhead as more than just his robot he built, and more of a member of the team. And it led up pretty nicely, I think, to the emotional kind of last stand of Metalhead when he was keeping the portal open for everyone to escape. That was one of the more emotional things we've had in the show. Probably the most emotional so far has been the Splinter Shredder conflict and the emotion there, with Karai obviously being one of the key players in that too. But this was kind of up there, and I think what it really highlighted was that we haven't had any emotional episodes really focused on the Turtles, who, like, they're the main characters. They're the ones who should be having these really kind of powerful moments, yet it was Metalhead with his last sacrifice and their master, Splinter, who hasn't been a focus of many episodes, who's getting the big moments. So I'm waiting for them to do something big with the Turtles. I've been saying that since day one, more or less, and I'm still waiting for them to just do something with the Turtles, but hopefully they have something set up. Next episode, based on the preview, doesn't seem like it's going to necessarily be what I want, but we'll see. It's that type of show where there's going to be some episodes that just aren't plot focused, and I get that, but at the same time, they have set up some pretty intricate and mysterious plots, so it's not wrong to want to see them come back, and it kind of hasn't been bringing them back. But yeah, coming back to like final thoughts really on the episode, because as much as it was an exciting episode towards the end, a lot of it was fights, and the show's almost at the risk of having so many fights that no one's ever at risk, so the fights aren't as interesting. But the show is good, and it's maintaining this quality. It just can be so much better if it wanted to be. I've compared nearly every episode to Korra in the sense of the type of show that I like, and I think is like the best type of show on TV, is the way Korra does its episodes, where something's addressed, there's direct continuity into the next episode. Every episode is a continuation of the next one. Too often with this show, you've come to a new episode and it's almost as if something never happened. The April reveal in the last few episodes seems to have never happened because they're not addressing it. Casey not being in this episode, April not being in this episode, Karai and Shredder have fallen out of the story for the last few episodes. There's a lot of frustrating things that this show is doing while still putting out fun episodes. So that's my review of the episode. So thanks for watching, and bye.